I wanted to do something different and big and wanted to have a long lasting identity. I wanted my name will never die. And this name should be always there. And one of the things which you can do is by changing your lifestyle, changing your goals, achieving something bigger. In that, I also wanted to write an autobiography. Nobody stops you from writing autobiography. But who is going to read your autobiography? Unless it has something great achievement, there is something learning, something to learn, something to inspire, something to teach others, something which is not done by anyone else, and you are the different person who is contributing into life of yours and others. Then only people read your autobiography. So every day I live my life thinking that one day I'm going to write an autobiography, and any new thing I do in my life is adding one chapter in my autobiography. So by doing all this small contribution, I'm actually writing paragraphs and chapters of my life. And this is one of the biggest goal of my life, to write autobiography, and that is why I left my job, because job will have limited exposures and limited growth. Lot of people, being an academician, I was academician. If I grow in academics, I will teach for 30 years, and after that I will retire and I will die. We remember our teachers, but who remembers? Only the teacher who taught you, and you only remember the teacher who used to support you, who used to love you, and who used to give hand holding. We don't remember all the teachers from our life. I don't wanted to be one of the teacher of that kind. I wanted to be something different. So that is why I made this decision. So, autobiography, what is the purpose of writing an autobiography? To explain the meaning and importance of one's life. By doing all these activities in my life, I am explaining my meaning and importance of my life. Why did I exist? Why did I even born? What is the need? What is your contribution in life and community is very important. So you can understand, by this, my name will never die. This GB logo will always be there, because all this content which I am writing on YouTube, writing in my blog, in my website, on internet, it will be always there. I may not last long years, but even if I die, my name will never die. So it was my purpose of life to create a name which should never die, and people should remember you. So daily I am doing some small contribution in people's life, so that people will remember me. One of the next goal was to achieving financial freedom. Remember, here I am saying financial freedom, not financial stability. Again, I will repeat, I am talking about financial freedom, not financial stability. You get financial stability by doing a job also, but we don't get financial freedom. I'm not talking about the stability. It is financial freedom. Why do I want financial freedom? It buys me more time. There is unlimited time it will get. I will have a good growth. I will have a good financial support, because one of the aim of my life was to share. Imagine in a job I wanted to share something. I wanted to help people financially, because of my limited financial support, I might able to help one or two people. But if my business grows, if I achieve a financial stability, financial freedom, I will be able to support a lot of people. Look at the rich people such as Nita Ambani. She started with the school which helps a lot of poor children. Tata, Birla, Reliance, all these rich people. You can say what is Bill Gates. He has got a good foundation, Bill Gates Foundation, who is helping people financially throughout the world. So because of financial freedom, because of financial support, my ability to share not only my experience, but my financial support to a lot of people. In present scenario, I may not able to help people financially, but I will teach people how to improve their financial growth, how to improve their financial intelligence. That is also one of the small contribution from me to others' life. So what was the turning point in my life? In 2007, one of my senior, Dheeraj Kaveri, told me to read this book. I was very bad in reading books, except the academics books. But when I read this book, it changed my perspective about everything, especially the finance. This book has changed a lot of people's life. The book's author Robert Kiyosaki says the terms income, expenditure, liability, and asset has different meaning to different people. And this was one of the best selling book in 1990s in America and throughout the world. Lot many people in the world says that this book has changed their life and perspective about their life as well as their finances. So let us understand this word income. Whatever you earn is becoming income, and whatever you spend is actually expenditure. There is no problem in this, everybody understand this, but there is a big problem in asset and liability. We always assume that our house is an asset. We thought our car is our asset. But he explains in his book that our house and car is not an asset. So how does he explain? He says anything that puts money in your pocket is an asset, and anything that takes money out of your pocket is a liability. Example, your home, your house. If you have your own house, maybe you are not paying any loan or there are no debts on your house, and you are staying in the same house. Because you are staying in the same house, you will have to pay for the electricity bill, you have to pay for the maintenance. Everything is going out. This house is not helping you to earn money. Because this is not helping to earn money, by default it becomes liability. And on top of that, if you are having a loan on the house, then it is a liability. A car, you think always that the car is your asset. But because car requires money for maintenance, car requires money for petrol, so actually it is taking money out of your pocket. So it is a liability. So we need to understand the definition of what is asset and liability. Our banks always told us that our house and our car is the asset. They are absolutely right, but they are telling us the half truth. The asset is for the bank, not for us, because a loan or a home loan is an asset for a bank because it puts money into the bank, but it is a liability for us. So please understand this fact very clearly. Nobody is lying to you, but people are telling us half truth. It is your responsibility. It is your liability to find out the whole truth. And thanks to Robert Kiyosaki and his books, he's helping us to understand this truth. In that book, he also talked about the financial statement. Most of us, being a physiotherapist, being from healthcare profession, we are very bad at financial management, and even we are more bad at reading the numbers and very bad at reading our financial statements. So let us understand what are these financial statements. This is income expense column and this is asset and liability. So how does a financial statement of a poor person works? He gets the income and everything he puts into the expense. Like suppose a guy earns around 300 rupees, which is the minimum wages per day is 300 rupees. He will earn 300 rupees, and out of that he will buy some needy material for the home, like groceries or food for 100 200 rupees, and out of remaining 100 rupees, 50%, like 50 rupees he will buy a wine or liquor, and 50% will spend in other thing. So basically whatever he's earning, he's spending daily. So that is a typical poor mentality, or I call it the liberal mentality. If you are in your whole income is spending in one day and you get poor by next day, then it is a liberal mentality and still it is a poor mentality. As a job also it is same. Only a liberal mentality works for one day and a typical job person's mentality works for 1 month. Like if our salaries are getting over by the end of the month, then again we are in the same statement. Only we are able to last for 1 month. And suppose you save money and you are a little bit better than that, and you go to the middle class and you are able to retain some money and buy some extra basic need for your home. But there also, look at this, you get an income and then you buy a liability. What liability we buy? We always buy mortgages, like we buy a home and we take a home loan, and that home loan is taking money out of your pocket as an expense. Then we buy a car, that is also expense. Then we buy a high expensive mobile, high expensive clothes. Then our children go to a very high college. So all that are expenses. So whatever you are getting income, everything is going into liability, and liability is going out of your pocket through the expense column. So there is nothing is getting added in your asset column. Then we are still in the middle class mentality. Most of us, 80% of the Indian population and world's population is belonging to this middle class mentality. But look at the financial statement of the rich man. What are the income they get? They always put in the asset, and these assets buy the liability, and the liability goes to the expense column. Our liability is bought by the income, but whereas their liability is bought by their asset. We'll explain that in detail in next images. So this is a typical expense poor mentality. We buy expenses, we rent a home, and everything goes out of the expense column. In middle class, we do buy some liabilities such as car, home, phone, and we focus on the assets which are very, very small assets such as fixed deposit or retirement saving. But again, this doesn't put a lot of money in our pocket. Whereas rich guys, they buy big assets, and we'll explain what rich invest in what kind of asset in the next few slides. But you need to understand that they invest a lot of money in their asset and they do not buy liabilities here. So poor people gets an income and expenditure, middle class gets an income and expenditure and liability, whereas rich buys the asset and the asset will buy their liabilities and it will pay for their expenditures. After that, the second book which changed my perspective was Cash Flow Quadrant. This was a light bulb moment in my life. This quadrant, ESBI, it is called as ESBI quadrant. E stands for employee. S stands for self-employed. B stands for business owner, and I stand for investor. In an employment quadrant, we sell our time and we get a fixed income. Whereas in when in the self-employment, there is no limit of time. We work as much as possible and we get paid. So we put our 100% here. By 1% we get an income. Whereas in this column, if you look at this side, in business, we don't require 100% of everybody. Even if they put 1% of everybody into 100 people, it will be equal to the income of 100 population. So here they take other people's time and effort and skill to get the money. And this is how the system works in this column. Whereas in money, in the investment column, here the people are working for money, here we are working for money, and here money is working to make more money. So understand the big differences between self-employment and the business quadrant. This is basically the active quadrant. You only get paid as long as you work, and the moment you stop working in employment quadrant and self-employment quadrant, your income stops. But instead of that, in business quadrant, that doesn't happen. Here, if you you may be there or not there, the business still works. What is the big difference between self-employment and business is that if you are not there actually present in the business development for 6 months to 1 year, and if your business still grows by the system itself, that is a true business setup. Whereas in a self-employment business, most of what we see outside, they say they are doing business, but technically they are doing self-employment business, like a clothes shop, shoe shop, or any small shops which are there around us. They are actually self-employed because all the people or the owners, they daily go to that job. Imagine if they don't go to the job or their shop for 1 month, does their business grows? No, it doesn't grow. It always goes. That is why they're always required there. It was their specialty, their skill, which was more important for the business to grow. So where do we belong as a therapist? As a therapist, we belong into these two categories. Either most of us are employed or most of us are self-employed. We are so-called specialists. The S also stands for small business. S also stands for specialist. Being a specialist, we are the best in our job or best in our skill. So people, and the more the people get dependent, that is the problem. Because as a person, you have limited time and you cannot expand your time, or you cannot do the exponential growth of your time. As long as you are there, you get paid. If you are not there, you don't get paid. So most of us as a therapist, we become a lot of specialist therapists, and whenever we don't go to the OPD, our OPDs doesn't work and we don't get paid. Then that is the problem. So our specialty, our skills are actually stopping us from shifting from left side of quadrant to the right side of the quadrant, which is a business quadrant. So let us understand, this is the left side of the quadrant and this is the right side of the quadrant. So in left side, the income is always active. In this, it is passive. Presence is always required here. It is not required regularly. Time and ability. There is a lot of time here, and there is only once you are required to work, and after that, the system works on its own. Recreation. We are required for recreation. Here, the system work. Limitation. Here, time is equal to money, and here there is no limit. Education. Here you work for the money, and the more you get educated, you are always required there. Here the money works for you. Focus. Here we focus on our improving our product and services. Like you must have seen that lot of us as a therapist, we are so much focusing on improving our skill. Like we are attending so many workshops, so many lectures throughout the world. But by improving your skill and services, where are you focusing more on the left side of quadrant? But very few people are focusing on how to create a system which runs on its own. There are a lot of good clinics right now which are working there. One of the very good example for this is Key Spine Clinic. Key Spine Clinic has created a system which runs on its own. We do not require a specialist therapist there. People believe in the system of Key Spine more than the therapist. This is just an example. I am not appraising one particular institute. For making you just understand, I am giving this example. There are a lot of other systems might be there which I may not be aware, but please note that point also. So here the tax benefit, there are very less tax benefit, and there are very less event is permitted here. But in this quadrant, we get a lot of tax benefit. I will explain that tax benefit in the next slide. Choices. We have a choice. We want time or money. In employment quadrant or left side of quadrant, we do not have a choice of time. We might get paid more money, but the time is never our choice. Whereas on the right side of quadrant, we get both. We get time as well as money. So what do you want? Time or money? Most of you will say time. I say, why not both? Time and money. Focuses on one choice. Why not both? So that is the big change in the mentality. So what is the mentality of this quadrant? So the bigger problem in this quadrants is mentality. The left side of quadrant focuses too much on security. Like I said in the previous slide, they want financial stability here. They want fixed income, fixed timing of work. Everything should be fixed. Security, job benefit, insurance benefit from the office, maternity leaves and maternity benefits. All these benefits and security words, whenever you talk, we're actually talking from this side of quadrant. Whereas here they are not focusing on the benefit. They are focusing on creating a system which runs on its own, and they are focusing on the freedom. So it is our choice. Do you want security more or freedom? And they are actually two opposite direction of the same thing. So if you are running on one direction, that means you are technically running away from other. So change your head position. Do you want to go on security side or do you want to go on freedom side? Once you change that head position, everything will change. So what is our expectation? We want finite time or infinite time? If you look at this, the left side of quadrant will have individual effort and finite time and finite income, and it is always active income. Whereas on this side, it is the team which is working. It is not an individual effort. Whole team is working there, and there is infinite time. There is no limitation. Like you must have seen, a lot of companies, they work 24 hours also sometime, and they can multiply as many number of people in the team, and there is infinite income, infinite time, and it is all is passive. You are no longer required regularly there. Look at this slide. This is the most important slide. 90% of the world population belongs to this side of quadrant, which is left side, which have a job or they are self-employed. But look at this column. Only 90% of the world's population has 10% of the wealth, and 10% of the people has a 90% of the wealth. So what is our choice? Which side do you want to belong? You want 10% type of wealth people, or you want to have a 90% wealth type of people? It is the important question you need to ask yourself today. So we focus on the left side, which is active income, and here they focus on the right side. The right side people, they work first on the business, and once they get a good business running, they focus on the passive income and they invest in the investment column. And due to this investment column, they get a financial freedom. And 90% of the income for them is coming from this column. And that is why if you look at a lot of people who are rich in the world, they are actually net worth, or we say the their bonds, investment on the stock exchange. That is what they are calculating in their growth as a wealth. So their net worth is calculated by this column, and that is why they can get the financial freedom. So to go here, you have a choice: go from here, here, or here. If you go from here, obviously we have limited money to put into this. So obviously you have limited growth. If you go a little bit here, you might have a little bit extra money to put into this column, and we'll get a little bit extra. But if we multiply this person, and multiple people's effort, time, and skill, we'll get a lot of amount of extra income, and that extra income can be put into this, and this extra income, this extra money will work for you, making money for you, and you no longer will be required to work in your whole life. So what does the right side of people do, or what does the rich people do? We were talking about asset. So what are these assets they are investing into? The first most important asset is business. Most of the world's population, they invest in the business. This is what the statistics says. Out of whole 100% of the population, 78% of the self-made billionaires are came from business. So 78% of the people who become rich as a billionaire, they become rich or billionaire by doing a business. So you have these young people like Apple, Amazon, Facebook. They are the one of the richest people right now in the world. Second most after that is salesman, which is around 8%. And there are very few people, except few CEOs you can count on the fingertips, which were holding a job and they become billionaires. So less than 1% of the population who is doing job becomes billionaire and will have unlimited growth potential financially and personally. Second thing after business, a lot of rich people invest is the real estate. So understand this word, the real estate or royal estate. By name itself, it is called as real estate. It is actually a typical reality which is there. It is a royal estate. And what are these royal estate or real estates? These are our house, which is on given on rents or rental properties. You take a lot of shops which can be given on rental properties or hotels. So when you have a house and you give it on rent to somebody, or you have a shop and you give on rent, then it becomes asset. But if you have a house and you are staying in the same house, then it doesn't become an asset. If you have a shop and you are only working in the shop, or you are using that shop, then also it is not an asset. Let me give you one of the example of my friend. This guy bought two homes in Pune, which were actually around 2 BHK, 3 BHK flat, and both were given on a rent. And he used to stay in a very small area with a very small rent. So, suppose example, what he's staying in that house is, which is a rental house. He is staying in rental house and he has given his own property on rent. He pays rent 10,000 rupees, but he gets rent from two properties 20 and 30,000. So by giving 10,000 rupees and 20 plus 30, actually he's having surplus of 40,000 rupees. This is the mentality. Same guy, he bought a shop, which is in the same campus. In the same campus, he is working. He had his clinic in a rental property, and he has given his own shop to on rent to someone else. And understand this concept here. He used to give rent for his shop was 20,000, and his own shop, same size of shops are there in the same building, only floor was different, and that his own shop was given to other person on 30,000. So actually he has a difference of 10,000 in his pocket. When I understood this concept, I was mesmerized, and I must tell you his name. His name is Sanjeev Kumar. He's actually from Bihar. From Bihar, he came to Maharashtra and Pune, and he bought two flats, one big shop in Pune, and we were still in the same position. And also, he's not academically very good, but financially, he was very good. So he taught me the lesson. And you know who was taking his shop on rent? I was the person who took his shop on rent at 30,000, and he was on rent with somebody else's shop at 20,000. I understood his psychology and mentality. From that day, I understood that he knows the real definition of asset, and that is what changed my life. Then third most is commodities. Commodities which commonly been used, and one of the world's biggest commodities are there, and a lot of people invest their money in stocks or in companies. Are the companies which are oil, gold, or silver. These things which are limited resources. Anything which is limited resource, which always has a high value, and it will keep on increasing. So if we invest in this, we will grow, and most of the rich people invest in this, and we do not invest too much in this. Paper stocks, like a lot of paper stocks and bond, or in the investment column, a lot of people invest in this and they also get rich. So we understood this concept. ESBI quadrant. I was talking about the tax. In US, on an average, employee pays around 40% of the taxes, whereas self-employed pays only 60% of the taxes. Business people pays 20% of the tax, and investment quadrant pays only 0%. Also remember, in this quadrant, whatever your income, you get taxed on whole income. Suppose you take income about 1 lakh rupees, you will be taxed on 1 lakh rupees, and suppose we get taxed at 20%. So 20%, 20,000 is gone, you only have 80,000 to spend. So we get income, then tax, and then we are allowed to do the expense. Whereas in business quadrant, here, they get an income, they are allowed to do the all expenditure which is required for the business, and whatever is the remaining amount, based on that, they pay the taxes. Like what I did in my business. I got 50 to 60 lakhs of business. And out of that, during development of the business, the expenditure around for the business development was around similar, and the profit was only 2 to 3 lakhs rupees. So out of 2 to 3 lakh rupees, I paid only 30% taxes. and it is legally allowed, because any expenditure which is done in the business is always supported by the